Chris Drees is with us today. He joined Mercury Marine in 1998 and over the last 23 years has served the company in many different capacities, including President of Atwood and VP of Global Operations. In 2019, he was named the President of Mercury Marine, and we're thrilled to have him with us this morning. Welcome to Boat Test Reports.
You took everybody by surprise a couple of weeks ago when you announced the 600 horsepower engine, V12. Just an incredible outboard engine. What caused Mercury Marine to develop such a high horsepower outboard?
You know, Jeff, we do a lot of market research and we listen to our customers. And certainly it's been quite some time. The trend is for larger boats needing more power. And you see some builders putting 5, 6 outboards on the back. And truthfully, that's too many in our opinion. So we wanted to drive the power to match the boats that people were wanting in the marketplace. It's that simple. It's just listening to our customers and seeing what they want. We also noticed that there's a trend moving from inboard and diesel to gas outboards. You could replace the diesel with gas outboards, less maintenance, less costly maintenance, certainly, especially the way we design the engine, Jeff.
We're seeing several companies, I think as many as 3 of them, building diesel outboards. Can you tell me what your take is on that?
You know, we're focused on our plan, to tell you the truth, Jeff. So when we look at the customer base and what they're looking for and requiring, that's why we put the focus on the 600. That meets all the needs of the consumer, the ride, the NVH, everything that we built into it solves problems in the marketplace.
Many express cruisers and flybridge cruisers are powered by heavy, expensive diesel engines which power through heavy, expensive pod drives. Do you think your new engine can compete with these? Is it a replacement for these diesel engines with pod drives?
Jeff, certainly a possibility. It gives builders and consumers a lot more options with the power on the back of their boat and the way to design boats.
Do you think this could replace pod drives with diesel engines?
I think for some applications, without a doubt, Jeff. Certainly, probably not all, but some, yes. And the one great thing about our engine, we control all the interfaces. So all the interfaces to the engine, there's no through hulls, nothing cut through the hull. Everything is in our control. So we're really confident in that engineering, how it was designed. We certainly learned from some of our pod applications, and we feel this is the best of both worlds.
Now, tell me, what is the retail cost of the retail price of this engine?
Typically in the mid 70s, Jeff.
So with 2 of them, we're talking about $150,000. How does that compare with 2 diesel engines with the pod drives?
I think if you look at the total cost of ownership, it's going to be extremely favorable because maintenance, heaven forbid there's a major issue with one of the engines on the diesel side. But you have to look at the entire cost. Not only that, but you have to look at your enjoyment on the water as well. Is this a pleasant sound? Do you have more space on the boat? Is it a pleasant experience underway? So, you know, the total cost is one thing, but sometimes you have to look at the total enjoyment of it as well, because it's certainly very, very fun to drive and just a great experience.
Let's talk about torque. The great thing that diesel engines have going for them, well, first of all, gas inboards have more torque than outboards typically, and diesels have much more torque than gas inboards, and this is what big heavy boats need. Compare the torque of a typical 430 horsepower diesel twin engine application with your 600s?
Yeah, certainly the first step that you'll notice, 7.6 liter displacement. So big displacement engine, which is great. But the other piece that we notice, certainly torque, getting out of the hole quickly, other attributes that it does give. That's why we decided to go with the 2-speed transmission, Jeff. So if you imagine the first gear is 20% less than second gear. So as you're getting out of the hole, that provides a tremendous amount of ability for that engine to get the boat out of the water quickly. It is just amazing the difference between first gear and second gear, the power it has, the ability to get the boat out of the hole quickly with little bow rise. You know, I heard time and time again from everybody on the boats, I can't believe how little bow rise there is. And then as you get up on plane and going, it shifts into second gear. You can't even tell it's shifting. It is beautiful. I can't wait for you to get on some of the boats.
Well, Chris, I have been on one with Leon Slickers. I was on the Tierra.
Oh, okay.
Just last week with him. And I can verify with what Chris has just said. You cannot feel the shift. You cannot hear it. You cannot feel it. And I'm wondering why outboard makers didn't do this a long time ago.
Well, I think some of it, adding transmission, there's a weight and there's a cost aspect to it. So people ask, can you take it down the line? We can. The real question is, do the people want to pay that much more?
Let's talk about fuel consumption for a moment. I compared the fuel consumption on both the Tierra 48 LS with your engine, your 600s, and the Formula 500 SSC. And then I looked at some boats that weighed about the same, in the same category, that were powered by diesel. It looked to me like your engines were within, at cruising speeds, best cruise, within 1/10 of a mile per gallon of what the diesels were doing. What's your data show?
So we haven't had a tremendous amount of one-to-one comparisons on the same boat, same hull, comparing it. But when we do the similar studies, the fuel economy as it relates to diesel is extremely close. So we're going to be anxious to do that. We think we're going to be very favorable on the fuel economy side to diesels.
Why did you put dual props on this engine?
Well, when we listened to the customer, they wanted more authority during docking. They wanted to get up on plane quicker, more surface area of the blade. Certainly on the fishing applications, the reverse authority, to be able to back down a fish is tremendous. So all that provides certainly better bite into the water, better maneuverability around the dock, and it keeps the torpedo size much lower. If you look at the blade area, the prop would need to be to propel a boat out of the water with 600 horsepower, it becomes extremely large on a single application, taking that torpedo size to be much greater. So when we have the dual prop, we can keep it narrow. We can keep 27-inch centers on our outboard.
Yes.
Consequently, you could put those tighter together on the transom. Now you can have a walk path around the engines on both sides to allow consumers to board easier, to get on. It's a real win-win.
You've got this wonderful acoustical test room at Mercury. Tell me what you found there when you could control all of the variables.
So it's interesting. Once they bring it into the room, they have microphones set up across the room to pinpoint where various noises are coming from, whether it be airflow, any noise on the engine, so they can go in with small modifications, adjust it to make it as quiet as what you heard on the lake. And interesting enough, the two pieces that were the loudest were, one, the telltale coming off the back of the engine to say it's running, and so we eliminated this on the V12.
Typically on an outboard engine, you've got to break it in for 20 hours and then take it back to the dealer. And then at 100 hours or a year, you've got to take it in. And at one time they had to work on the lash, and I don't know if they still have to do that anymore, and then every 100 hours. And when you have 2 or 3 engines, this gets to be expensive.
It's interesting, certainly with the maintenance on the new outboard engines, the new V12, 200 hours before the first oil change, and you don't have to remove a cowling for up to 1,000 hours. So think of that, the ease of boating, the ease of repair. They're right on the back. You don't need to tear up the boat. It's very, very, very simple. Everything all the normal oil changes can be done right from the hood. So if you notice, we have the hood that opens up, gear lube, transmission fluid, oil, right from the side of the boat without anybody even have to walk on the boat. This engine's built from the ground floor up.
Chris, you've got a 3-year warranty on this engine, yet it's not that old. You don't have any history with 12 cylinders, well, not much of a history. How can you warranty this engine for 3 years?
It's nothing unlike what we've been doing for the last 80 plus years at Mercury. Our engineering team is phenomenal, building it in, doing the testing up front where we can provide those warranties. And we also offer extended warranties for your boat that you can get up to 8 years on the engine. It's been a great year for boating, and we look to continue that trend, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Yep. Thank you.